Hello and welcome to the road to 28 years later. The end of the road, some would say. Our podcast, our miniseries dedicated to the franchise that redefined the term zombie. I'm your host, Asher Hubley. Joining me today, Dylan Black.
Feels like it's taken a long time to get here, but
It's been 2 weeks.
Oh, sorry, it felt like
or 3 weeks. I've been thinking about it. Like in what, 6 months' time when the next one comes out, I'm just going to re-edit all these and just say, welcome to, the road to 28 years later, the Bone Temple. Just cut that in at the start of each episode.
100% could. So yeah, I re-released those Fast and Furious podcasts. So
yeah,
I just added in a couple extra bonus episodes.
Yeah. But yes, today we've finally gotten the chance to watch 28 years later, the latest film in the franchise that's set, released almost 28 years later.
It's like 30
from
years,
the original.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty close. But yeah, let's just dive in. Please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about plot themes and ending the movie. So if you haven't watched it, come back later. With that said, let's talk about 28 years later.
There were so many dead. Infected and non-infected alike.
That's why our home is so precious.
You know, I feel he's a bit young.
He's ready, Jenny.
7, 6, 11, 5.
Once you walk onto that mainland, there's no rescues.
Moving up and down again. Don't. Look at what's in front of you.
Let's go!
Count the bullets in the bandoliers.
There are many kinds of death. Some are better than others.
Directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland, starring Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Alfie Williams, Jack O'Connell, Ralph Fiennes. Dylan, what'd you think of 28 years later?
Well, yeah, I as is quite often the case with our Spoilercasts, I'm coming straight, literally from the cinema to here, so my thoughts are a little bit less marinated than yours. However, loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I couldn't have told you at all. I couldn't have predicted the direction and threads that the story would head in based on the trailer. And yeah, I think there was. Well, actually, if you'd asked me, I would have. I think naively, even with Alex Garland as a writer, I would have naively said it was, they head out. Obviously, they're trying to get something to save his mom, and then they get trapped out there, and then they can't come back. And I think it was like the point where they come back to the village. I was like, oh, we're already sort of off the typical narrative train for this. But yeah, I mean, it really interestingly shot. Fantastic cast. Thought it, it brings it back, especially after just doing the rewatch. It takes it back to a more human story rather than just a quote unquote zombie movie, where it's just a bunch of zombies dying and people yelling and screaming and stuff. Brings it straight back to that more human element. You've got all the huge thread about it. I mean, at its heart, it's just a coming of age story with a dude trying to save his mum. With a kid trying to save his mum is the main thing. There's some interesting little tidbits in here about, I guess, masculinity and again, like once you get to Ralph Fiennes' character, I guess, especially that hammers down the fact that they definitely don't even really view these as zombie movies, like the reiteration of everyone being people, and it's sort of like a virus rather than talking about everyone as things. I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah. I think this might be the best thing I've watched so far this year.
I feel I would still put Sinners higher, but it's definitely one of the best things I've watched this year.
Yeah, which was definitely surprising for me and was, kind of definitely a bit of a shock. Especially considering those are probably the two best movies so far this year, and they're definitely not my usual genre.
Well, the thing is, right? And this is the crux of the thing. The best horror movies always come down to just good story, and like the horror is just a tool, I guess, within that world. And the funny thing about this is coming of age stories is 100% your type of usual genre that you would find. Yeah, it's your type of shit. So it's quite funny, really.
It is quite funny how it all came together. But yeah, it was intense, moving, gore, like way more gory than I thought it was going to be. Obviously we'd seen like teaser posters of like someone holding a human head and a spine. I'm like, wow, they're going over the top of this marketing. No, that's in the movie. Or all the imagery that's included, that's all in there. It's like, yeah.
I didn't actually think the Boots anthem thing would be in the actual movie. I thought that was just a trailer.
Yeah, and it's kind of weirdly used. Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense other than, it's just a track to play over them walking around or whatever. But
I mean, I need to possibly sit down and watch, I don't know, someone deep dive into it. I'm like, Boots, it's coming out of the cinema. I was trying to think about it in the drive over here. So it's a thing about repetition. So like, I think it sort of sets in motion. So I'm trying to like exactly extrapolate what Garland's trying to say, but like it is something about repetition, and then they start and it's like repetition of, I can't figure out if it's what exactly it's trying to say, but I mean, that's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that it's like kind of a simple story. Like, it's a kid who learns about there possibly being a doctor out there who could help his mum, so he goes on a trek out with his mum to go visit the doctor. I mean, that's the basic premise.
That's it.
But it's all the world building that's kind of been built around it. Which has extended even further from what we know from the earlier 28 Days movies. Like, it definitely feels like this one's also been influenced by zombie culture as a whole. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's a surprise. Like, The Last of Us was a thing that I was thinking about while watching this, and like, they've got different types of zombies. I'm sure if like it was in a game, they'd like have different types.
It's an alpha. I'm like, it's a fucking bloater. Like, what are we like? Yeah, the bloater's crawling on the ground now. Yeah.
I was thoroughly entertained, thoroughly feeling stuff, whether it was tension or moved or emotional at times. It's incredibly shot. Like, apparently it was shot with iPhones or something like that.
Yeah, they shot it with iPhones. The whole movie shot
with iPhone 15 Max, in addition to action cameras, drones, and digital film cameras.
Yeah, wild.
Absolutely crazy. I think it works not only as the third part in this series of films, but also as the start of this new trilogy. Because after watching this film, I'm definitely super keen. Like, the Nia DaCosta directed 28 years later. The Bone Temple is definitely high on my list of anticipated films now.
Alex Garland's 28 years later, The Bone Temple, directed by Nia DaCosta. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. We'll have to workshop.
We'll have to workshop that.
Yeah.
Hold on, Ash. Let's talk about that elephant in the room. There's a massive cock in this film. It's not. Now, I read
there is big dick energy in this movie, and I think it's completely related to the rage virus. I don't think it's a coincidence that the alpha has a massive penis.
Now, what I really want to know is if the line about steroids or the virus acting like steroids was written into the script, or once they hired that actor and he started walking around with that hog just smacking everyone in the face with it, that they felt they needed to go back and write a line about steroids to justify how big that guy's dick is.
But that's the opposite of what steroids do.
I mean, yeah, true. That's a good point.
So maybe the rage virus hasn't infected them as much because of the big dick. It helps you keep your mentality, and that's why they're bigger, smarter, stronger, all that stuff.
I want to know the casting call. We're looking to hire an alpha. You're like the big boss of zombies. You need to have
you're just going to be naked.
You're going to be naked the whole time, and ideally, you can not have a small dick, because small dick is not big alpha energy. Like they hire someone. They're like, you look pretty jacked. Like you look good. You're definitely on the roids though. And that big that small dick energy is not going to work for this character. Sorry, so that I'm telling you, these conversations they had to have happened.
Surely, yeah.
That guy was really good.
Just in the casting.
He did really well.
He was
I loved his
intimidating.
performance, but that cock,
Yeah.
you
He's
know,
just- It was scene stealing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dear.
Wild. I don't know how to move on from that. Should we just
I know. I was like, let's just get to the
get to the meat and potatoes of it?
yeah. Well, yeah. If you want to get some meat and potatoes of it. Do you want to go for the actual plot, or like the other thing I just want to say that's wild is that Jack O'Connell is having, so he's in now what we're saying are the two best movies of the year.
He's in
potentially.
2 best movies of the year.
Yeah, wow, absolutely wow.
Absolutely. That was the other point I made on social media right after. I was like, it's pretty crazy that he's in both these movies.
He plays a vampire in one, and he plays a zombie killing
Zombie
cult
hunter, I
leader
guess, yeah.
in another
So,
one.
cult leader.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So we'll run through the plot, and I'm sure we'll think of other things we could talk about. During the initial reading from Wikipedia, number one movie synopsis website on the internet.
Yeah.
During the initial outbreak of the rage virus in the Scottish Highlands, so away from England, a young boy named Jimmy is infected by his infected family. Running to a nearby church, Jimmy pleads with his uninfected father to help him escape. His father gives Jimmy a crucifix necklace before being willingly overwhelmed by the infected in a form of religious euphoria, allowing Jimmy to escape.
When the movie started,
So messed up.
Yeah. Well, I also assumed it was seeing like the beginnings of obviously Anton Johnson's character, but then
Yes.
5 minutes after this, when they start calling him a different name, I'm like, okay, interesting. I wonder how that character comes back into it. Also, because in the trailer we'd seen the Teletubbies thing, we'd seen the priest moment, like a few of these bits had been
shown in the trailer. We assumed it was like
trailer. Yeah,
an important character, and potentially could be, but yeah, even like through both. I just assumed, I didn't pick up on the name.
you kind of forget to be.
I just assumed it was Alexander Johnson because that's normally how these movies work,
Yeah, but no, they do. The first time you hear, I think it's Jodie Comer, like
Jodie Comer,
yeah. I think she says Jamie, and I'm like, well, that's not Jimmy. It's close, but
I mean, it could be. Jimmy could just be a nickname for Jamie.
Could be, but no. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you when I was 100% sure it wasn't the same character. I'll tell you when we get to it.
Yeah, when Jimmy comes.
No, before then, I'll tell you.
But in this opening scene, obviously, all the kids are like stored in the one room, and fucking Jimmy has to open the door, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He has to stand right by the door and like make noise. I'm like, oh, is this going to be another one of these fucking movies where the kids are to blame for all the terrible things that happen in the world?
I'll be honest, though, if I had to sit down and watch Teletubbies, I would want to leave the room too.
What's
scarier, the rage virus or Teletubbies?
No, but yeah, that scene, like just the kids sitting there, was very unsettling. Like with half of them starting to cry, and some of them just enthralled by the Teletubbies. But yeah, then that entire family is wiped out. Like all those kids, and the zombies go for all the little girls first. Fucking hell, brutal. Like thankfully we didn't have to watch any of it, but obviously then yes, he goes to the church to visit his dad. Who is unconcerned, I guess, and it believes
he takes it as the
this is the fucking,
what do we call it,
the coming of Christ or whatever,
something like that. Yeah,
Judgment Day. Yeah, so
most importantly, he says have this cross, never lose this, or something like that. Yeah, and
then he just hides in the grates.
Yeah.
I guess Jimmy survives.
Yeah.
We find out later. All right. 28 years after the second outbreak, the rage virus was eradicated in continental Europe. Interesting. Seems unlikely, really. It's like, we didn't like the ending of 2. We'll just assume that somehow they fought the rage virus off.
I mean, I can believe it. It's fine.
They just killed everybody in France.
Yeah.
Great Britain has been placed under indefinite quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
One community of survivors lives on Lisden Farm, an island village separated from the mainland by a single heavily defended tidal causeway. Among them are Jamie, a scavenger, his wife Isla, and their 12-year-old son Spike. Big Buffy fans.
Yeah.
Isla is afflicted with a terminal illness, the cause of which is unknown.
They definitely try to make it seem like she's like infected but not known, because that initial scene where it's like, you fucking cunt, you fucking, like, goes off her tree, like, whatever. I'm like, is it like they sort of tease that it's a rage virus, or at least that's how I took it.
No, I just assumed that she's had some sort of psychosis issue, you know, because the matter in which she turns, you know, so quickly, and you know, Jodie Comer's great. I loved her screaming that Aaron Taylor Johnson's cunt, so yeah, no issue with me. We see bits and pieces of like the village in here, and like, you know, share what you can and keep like little storage facilities, and they've been able to get livestock over the causeway in some way.
In the very little amount we see, they showed that it is it's a village and system that is working. There's no, that I think smartly they don't attempt to show that there's any sort of unease, or like this is the example of, you know, a working village 28 years later. This is a community that has their, for all intensive purposes, they've got their shit together in this one.
Figured it out. Yeah. You know, they've realized how we're going to stay alive.
Apples.
Yeah.
Apples and eggs.
Yeah. As part of Spike's coming-of-age initiation, he and his father journey to the mainland to hunt. They soon encounter a pack of infected led by an Alpha, a highly involved infected individual who is larger and smarter than the others, and take refuge in an abandoned cottage after the pack chases after them. While staying the night, they observe a distant bonfire. Following a chase across the causeway by the Alpha, they narrowly return to the village. Skipping a lot there.
I'll say just on the rite of pact thing or whatever. The other thing, as much as the village having their shit together, it is shown to be somewhat still driven in, I guess, old-fashioned gender roles a bit, and you get the sense, especially with the coming of age, like going out to kill, get your first kill in the way that's like sort of celebrated later when we come back. Like there's a lot of signs of just that inbred masculinity that breathes through the place. Even that like shot of the different roles that people have, and you know, like they've sort of fallen back to that early 1900s
ideas.
Not fully, but it seems that seems to be a basis of everything that's happening there. Even like, I guess when they're crossing I'll say also I think the visual design of the island and the way it's separated is very cool. But even when they're crossing that now, and Taylor Johnson says like, "Nice chance now, boy. Do you want to turn back?" It's like, we can't. Why not? They'll think we're soft or whatever.
Yeah,
sissies or whatever. Yeah, it's like, yeah. So obviously they skipped over his first kill, which
we get introduced to the, you know,
bloaters,
slow bloaters. I guess it's the easiest way to describe them.
Yeah.
Who are like, you know, it's really interesting. Obviously, you know, it's been decades, so all the infected are pretty much clothless because they've deteriorated or they've been, you know, ripped off at some point. But then there's these bloaters that are sort of bloated up and just slowly kind of move towards you. You know, digging up worms to try and get sustenance. That's the other interesting thing. Obviously, they don't just explain it completely, but like obviously, the infected have not stopped off.
No, well, I mean, straight away, I don't think they need to explain it when they show how much wildlife there is.
Yeah, that's true.
Ultimately,
we see like a insane pack of deer.
Yeah,
that would not have thrived in that way. You would expect.
They need to catch one to
survive a little bit. You know.
Yeah. So, that shot though of the first one with the fucking crow riding it, I thought was very funny. Like just the crow across
lots of crows in this though. You know, that's another omen sort of thing.
Yeah.
That is you know, I'm sure again someone's going to do a deep dive into all this, and it'll be very, very fascinating to see all the symbolism and all that kind of stuff. But But yeah, just the also even with these crazy fucking bloaters, it's like there's a tension to it because you know they're sneaky fucking bloaters.
Like one from behind, yeah. Where'd
Yeah.
that come from?
Don't know. Yeah. And yeah, obviously we go into that scene of them going to the abandoned building for the first time, and we find a infected hung up and left for dead, I guess.
Yeah, so this is when I realized that Anton Johnson's not the same character from the start of the movie.
Okay,
Because
like
no, because the
this
body
kid
has,
is like,
no, the body has Jimmy written on it.
does it?
Yeah. It's got carved into it downwards. JIMMY.
Okay, I clearly was not. I didn't see that through the fingers covering my eyes.
You're watching it like this, going.
Yeah.
So there's several. So the zombie, so that zombie has Jimmy carved into it downwards, across his body. There's also later when they're walking. No, it's when him and Jodie Comer are going past the house, and it says something like there's something there that's obviously been written there since before the outbreak that says like, "Look to the sky, for he is coming for you," or something. And then someone's like spray painted or painted Jimmy into it. I'm sure there's probably some other stuff I've missed as well, but there's a few. There's Jimmy is
a presence throughout this.
Jimmy is a presence throughout the film until. So he's not just start of the movie and end of the movie. He is still slightly teased throughout it that he is, yeah. So as soon as the body had Jimmy, I'm like, oh, okay. Jimmy's a cult leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So mercifully, he's able to take out, Spike eventually kills the infected. Only after nearly kills him. But yeah, then they come across the Alpha, which is fucking terrifying. They just sense them from like so far away. So yeah. Yeah, they hide. The building starts falling apart, so they need to run even more. Like so much running in this. Like number one thing in this world, cardio. So yeah, and just the tension of the fucking Alpha running across the causeway towards the village, especially when they're like, the things like
they start joking and they're like chilling and relaxing, and then just in the background,
see
boom, 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 boom.
Just running through knee deep
after you
water.
have this beautiful cinematography of the walkthrough and then the fucking crows and whatever. Yeah,
fucking tense. Also, during this, obviously, we get a lot of kills in this. Like, how do you feel about how they shot a lot of the kills in this with like the slow mo and the close up and the full on splatter?
Have you seen the picture? They got like this.
Yeah, the crazy
the rig thing with like 16 or not that many, but like a bunch of iPhones or whatever. So it's like, and then they just cut it together. So
yeah,
or action cameras or whatever they put on there. It's jarring the first time, and then after that, I thought it was cool. That's how I would.
Yes.
The first time was like,
definitely
was weird.
Adds a stylistic element to it.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll tell you that all the kills, especially those ones, they do feel very visceral just because of how they're shot.
Yes, that's probably a good way to describe it. Very visceral. So, yes, we're back on the island. Spike learns that the bonfire was created by Dr. Ian Kelson, a mysterious physician and survivor of the outbreak, whom the villagers avoid after apparently witnessing his ritualistic burning bodies. After witnessing Jamie's infidelity and his lying about Isla's illness, a disillusioned Spike decides to sneak away to the mainland, bring his mother with him in the hopes that Kelson could cure her. Again, at this point, I'm like, God, fucking kids, like doing stupid things. You know, this is going to ruin everything, you know? Pessimistic about the way things are going forward. Meanwhile, Swedish NATO soldier Erik Sundquist and his unit are forced to land their life raft on the mainland after their patrol boat sinks off the coast. Pursued by a large pack of infected, Erik becomes a sole survivor while the rest of his unit is killed. He eventually crosses paths with Spike and Isla when he rescues them from another pack of infected.
I thought they all died.
Super surprising.
When he showed up.
Like, because this section is so... You go.
I thought when he first showed up, I was a bit confused because I thought they all like obviously died by the like the Alpha rips the head off and all that sort of stuff. I wasn't super
No, there was
shocked.
the one dude who ran out.
Okay. I wasn't shocked to see them show up though, simply because of obviously in the trailer you do see a couple. You see that at least a
People
couple
with
shots of the people with the guns. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, even that was tense because, like, I was like, oh, what are these people here? Are they like, trying to help, or what's the purpose behind this? And of course, they have to come across the only other Alpha in the area, which raises a question: like, was Samson that Alpha like trapped down there, and they just let him loose? It's all their fault.
Could be.
Also, we
Very-
get
very unprepared is how I was like, good lord, what training did you?
well, they
see?
didn't think they were going to come to the island, so
Yeah, but still, for the off chance you crash, like,
yeah, charge your battery. We'll get to another tense scene was obviously Spike and Isla going to sleep that one time in like a church, I guess, setting, and the fucking blob. What do we call them?
bloaters.
Bloaters, yeah, the fucking bloater, like slowly creeping in as he's about to fall asleep, and then hard cut to the morning, and we don't know what happened. How this bloater is suddenly dead.
Smashed its head in.
Yes, we've realized. Neither of them realized because she's forgotten.
Yeah. She's completely forgot she did it. Yeah.
She like fucking messed this bloater up with her bare hands.
She covered its face first. Don't want to get blood on your
On your
blood
body,
in yourself, Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yes, they do meet up with Isla. There's Spike and Isla meet up with Eric when they go into. They're running from infected. They get into a petrol station. Apparently, all the petrol has kind of got into the air inside the petrol station. It's gasified. And Eric sets it ablaze. Somehow, miraculously, Spike and Isla did not get burned to death.
It burns it all. Like, it doesn't expand outwards. It seems to just burn
up.
where it's sitting, which is in the upwards. So, yeah.
So
I'm no scientist. I'll believe.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So they go about their walking, talking. This is the first time that Spike has ever met somebody from modern society.
Yeah, this is our 10 minutes. Little bit of
fun, jokes,
fun plus background.
Let's make fun of current beauty standards.
Yeah, her face. What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with her face? Oh, I get it.
Oh, I know someone like that. It's what happens when they get an allergic reaction.
Yeah, she's beautiful. Just the way he talks about being a modern day Viking. Fucking, All right. The group eventually discovers a pregnant, infected woman who gives birth to an uninfected newborn.
Who we had seen very briefly.
We'd seen a pregnant, infected woman earlier.
Yeah, she's walking down the river or whatever.
Yeah, but I assume most people were like, oh, she must have been pregnant and got infected, and that's what happened. Nope.
Apparently not.
Eric shoots the infected mother and is prepared to kill the child before the Alpha appears and tears his head off. Now,
it's the Alpha's baby, right? That's the
yes, absolutely
implication.
Because he goes to the mother and is like, "What?
Yeah,
you're dead."
What happened? Yeah, what happened to my baby?
Yeah. The Alpha chases the pair until it is tranquilized with a morphine-laced blow dart by Kelson.
Pretty cool.
I mean, they set him up to be pretty cool. He takes Spike and Isla and the newborn to his refuge, a vast, elaborate temple made from the sterilized bones of the bodies he's burned.
Someone
also takes Eric's head.
Alex Garland's Nia DaCosta directed Bone Temple.
Yes. He takes Spike and Isla and the newborn to refuge. Oh, yeah, I read that. Upon examining Isla, Kelson surmises that she has terminal cancer.
The not funny, but when they said that, I was like, that adds up. Like,
yeah,
it's sort of.
I don't know a lot about cancer. Like, I don't know a lot about untreated cancer, but that makes the most sense. I mean, it made the most sense that it would be some sort of disease that would be completely untreatable.
I do think there's something, and I think
that's modern society.
I think that's sort of what makes the movie so good. Is that, as I was talking about at the start, it is ultimately just this. It's such a normal problem.
Yeah.
Within such a strange world, just that
Yeah.
like it's an untreatable disease now, but like he has no
But
idea what it is.
50 kilometers off the coast,
Yeah,
you go to France, it's treatable.
yeah.
That's the sad part of it, I guess.
Mm.
There's all these people here that are being left for dead.
Mm.
Another franchise, but
Yeah,
who could be saved? But
yeah. I thought this was really there was a really good scene. Everyone's acting, everything that was happening
Mhm.
here. Kid's
Yeah.
really good, by the way. I said
Oh,
the
yeah.
acting's good, but the kid is really good.
Yeah, I mean, if the kid was bad, none of this would be super believable.
Yeah.
Isla and Spike tearfully bid each other farewell before Kelson peacefully euthanizes Isla with morphine darts at her request. I think he also drugs Spike.
He drugs Spike as well. Yeah,
He has some sort of
some a bit of morphine to him too, I guess.
yeah, non-fatal amount of morphine. Kelson gives Isla sterilized skull to Spike, who chooses to climb to the top of the temple and lay the skull at the summit.
After they have a real whatever the saying that they repeat, we all die, whatever it is,
Yeah,
we all die, live and die, whatever, something. Kelson, what's his name? Kelson. Yeah, he's all he's a very interesting character in this world where people are obviously it's very us versus them, but he speaks about the infected and non-infected, very similar,
all being the same. And
yeah, at the end of the day, he's we all end up
old
the
people.
same, old people. Even the fact that he's named the Alpha, chosen not to kill him when he could have ultimately. He could have killed him while he's morphing, but he chooses not to. So he's a very interesting character that I'm glad
obviously
didn't
he's
die when he
covered
really
in
dies.
some sort of substance that he knows that the infected don't like.
Iodine or something.
Iodine or something like that. Yeah,
something like that, yeah.
And
Which is it the stuff you put on wounds?
I think so. Yeah.
So maybe it's something to do with
right.
yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, very fascinating. Lots to talk about.
Just even the fact
you
of
can't
that,
stop death. Okay, get away from death. You got to accept death as part of
life,
the cycle of life and that kind of stuff. So
even though the flashback or when Aaron Taylor Johnson's telling the story about when they first come across him with the hundreds of bodies laid out and he's just casually
he's hey,
just
waving.
Something. But once you meet him, I think obviously
it kind of all makes sense. Yeah,
it all makes sense. Here's a guy who's just got all these. Well, it doesn't obviously. And it's you're trying to make sense of it in a strange world, but you can I would like to be his thinking is literally the same as is now, which is these are all people, and he's just trying to do what he thinks is right. I guess
honor them in some sort of way.
Honor them in some sort of way. Yeah.
So, yeah, very fascinating. After Kelson and Spike narrowly escape the reawakened Alpha, Spike returns to the island village where he leaves the newborn behind at the gate, along with a note for
trolley.
Jamie.
Oh, sorry, in a shopping basket.
In a shopping basket. Detailing that he'll return when he's ready and informing of the baby's existence and its name Isla. I think the key thing here, the Alpha coming after the baby again, or coming after. I don't think it's a coincidence. The Alpha's coming out after these people who have possession of the baby.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there has to be something more to the baby than just it's a baby. Some more significance between.
It's a cure.
It's well, imagine, but it's definitely
we need to kill it and study its brain.
In a movie where it's had all this us versus them mentality and whatever else. It's the life form that's come from the infected, but is okay. So yeah, it's
placentas are amazing.
To quote,
yeah, yeah. Think obviously the long walk, and then I was very surprised that this is how the movie kind of ended. He's chosen to leave the baby behind and go back to the mainland for whatever
walkabout. He wants to walk until he can see the sea no longer, or something. He says, right? I think that was the line.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He wants to walk until he can't see the sea anymore.
Yeah. Throw back to the start of the movie.
Absolutely, and obviously we get Jamie realizing with the baby's name that it's it was Spike and trying to go find him again. But again, fucking water.
Yeah.
I question why they don't use boats on that island. Is it too difficult?
Do you need boats? Like, I don't think you need boats. The
It's
system
like
makes
I
sense
need to
me.
get to the islands, but tide's up.
Mm.
Use a boat.
But then other people could come too. I guess it makes it more like if you build
That's-
a way for boats to go out, there's more ways for boats to come in.
That's true.
You know? Yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
So, all right. Realizing Spike has gone back to the mainland, Gemini Jester tries to go after him, but is unable to due to the high tide cut. 28 days later. While evading a group of infected, Spike is suddenly rescued by a cult of survivors, led by someone calling himself Sir Jimmy. How do you feel about the ending of this movie? Because it is tonally a little bit different to everything else.
It's wild. I loved it so much. I think I'm glad that they didn't attempt, because coming into it, anyone who follows, I guess, film knows that they shot both already. Like Bone Temple's done. Like
They shot back to back.
They shot back to back. So like I was wondering if this would like end as more wrapped up or do a bit more of a cliffhangery thing. So, but yeah, I think I tonally 100% very different, but it just, I don't know, it was so cool at the same time
Yeah.
to have such different sorts of characters live within this. And I mean, it is very much like he is fucking gone, I'm going to make a cult and we're going to be the Teletubbies. And we're now the Teletubbies. And they have to all dress like me.
They all have
And
to.
I'm going to call myself Sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all going to have Jimmys. We're all going to be called Jimmy.
Yeah.
And we're going to just fight, and that's
Yeah.
what we want to do.
I'm going to also assume, and I'm happy for someone to do a deep dive in this, because hold on, I don't think I need a deep dive. I think the fact that it's what I first thought of, that it's probably the correct answer.
Mm-hmm.
I assume he's called Jimmy because of Jimmy Savile, who was the dude who turned out to be a fucking they did a whole
Mass
Netflix,
pedophile or whatever.
Yeah, mass pedophile stuff. Rock star character, blonde hair.
Yeah.
Long blonde hair.
That everybody's
everything.
trying to
Yeah.
all of them. I thought it was like, at first I'm like, oh, is this like a bunch of like more fucking Swedes coming over trying to be Viking? It's like a YouTube thing. They come over.
Yeah.
We're coming over to England and we're gonna kill some fucking zombies.
Mm.
This is Jackass. Kind of thing. But no, seems like some sort of cult, and obviously you get that close-up shot of the crucifix inverted, which
Well,
has
his last
religious
lines
implications.
Last words as a kid when he's hiding the grate is like, "Father, why have you forsaken me like this?" or something like that.
Yeah. Just,
And then his actual father tells him to always have faith when he gives him the thing. So yeah,
absolutely. Right, that's it. Any other thoughts on 28 years later?
No. Yeah, very keen. I'm very. I know we're talking about like how it was talking about what do you want to watch, like saying how good it is just to have Wicked Part 2 come out within a timely fashion.
Yes,
after the first one. It's so exciting. Again, I just want to reiterate how exciting it is to watch something. Be like, I love that. When's the next one? And be like, oh, it's only like 6 months away. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully, enough people go watch this one that they don't wait until the second one to just get the third one going. Like just start the third one now.
Yeah, come on, Danny Boyle. Garland, so you.
I think they did.
Something.
No, I think they did interviews where they said they were allowed. They got the sign off for 2. They haven't got the sign off for the third one yet. So as much as they already pitched it as a trilogy, so
It's a trilogy, yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, Bone Temple will come out 16th of January. I was just it'll be interesting because obviously Nia DaCosta is directing this next one.
Mm-hmm.
Different cinematographer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how different is it going to feel? You know,
It's gonna feel very different, I think. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, especially when the movie ends with such a tonal shift. And that's sort of what we're talking about. Like how crazy is the end of this movie when suddenly you have these wild characters, this gang of Jimmies come out of nowhere, and you know, I felt that I felt it hit the audience and my screen just then, where everyone's like, "What the fuck is going on?" So I think like that tonal shift and having it a shift of people behind the camera, that makes sense also.
yeah, yeah. Like just looking through stuff we actually know, like see the music for this one was done by Young Fathers, like for 28 years later. The next one is done by what's her name? Hilda Guantier, the Joker composer.
I would expect the next one to be a lot darker than this one. Not saying this one wasn't dark. Obviously, it had a lot of dark elements, but this was a weirdly hopeful movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I know that, like obviously his mum dies and everything like that, but it feels hopeful. I think just because you have a character accepting
world he's in,
death
yeah.
and accepting the world and looking forward to move forward in it. So it doesn't actually feel super down at the end of it. It doesn't feel, tonally. But yeah, I assume the next one's going to be a lot darker.
The next one is just going to be the last act of the last act of 28 Days Later. For like a whole movie.
Yeah.
And then the other interesting element is we know Cillian Murphy's going to be in the next movie.
He's part of the game.
Baby.
He's wearing a blonde wig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Jimmy. Yeah. All right. Yeah, just really fantastic. We'll say Jodie Comer, fantastic. Like, even though, you know, she's playing someone who's going in and out of, you know, I guess consciousness, I guess is not the right word, but like
it's a hard performance.
Reality or like perception, and like, you know, her knowing things at the right time, I think was super effective. But yeah, Alfie Williams, you know, a person you'll be watching for a while, so sensational. So
I mean, they must have, like, I don't know if they've talked about it, but like I don't know how much they would have done to find the right kid. But when they're picking him, it's like we didn't know this coming in. We just sort of assumed, I guess, Anna Taylor-Johnson, you know, there would be adults leading the film.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's a kid leading this franchise for now. So
yeah,
you need someone strong.
Okay. Wild. All right. Let us know what you think of 28 Years Later by finding us on social media on Blue Sky at explosionhour.com, or find us on the social media at ExplosionPod. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars, and we can leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, for us worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, remember, don't mess with the alpha. Also, I don't recall hearing the like iconic 28 Days / Weeks music.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Choice to like, you know, keep it removed.
You know what was a choice? You not ending this podcast with "Look out for the dick."
Now I do.